We are live.
We are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And if you are an estate agent who's a parent and allowing your children to watch this, just subscribe to Disney Plus. It's a lot better. It's only £6 a month or something like that. So thanks for joining us today. You may notice we are missing a rather large sort of. He's not a Geordie, is he? Because he's
outside,
from,
isn't
he's
he? Yeah,
from yeah.
you got to be careful. That's like calling. If you get it wrong, you're going to upset a few people.
Yeah, and he's big. Our big, lovable northern friend is not with us today. He is otherwise sort of held up. So it's just me and you, Paolo. How's it going, mate?
It's good. It's good. You've been busy. I've seen you've had your little gathering. I saw.
Double busy, mate. Double busy. Last week we had an event for our members and some other people from in the industry we invited along. And it went really well. Raised £2,000 for some charities as well, so that was good. Just got a lot out of it. And like I was saying to you before we came on, it was weird how a theme developed. It was a Q&A format with Ahmed Riaz, Vicky Babiris, Spencer Lawrence, Luke Sinclair, and Paul Barber, who is the boss of Brighton Football Club. The CEO, and Rob Brady was there, gave a great talk about mental health, Rob. But this thing developed. It's like you've got top performers, obviously in the estate agency, but like Spencer's top performer in rentals, lettings.
Yeah.
Like Luke is really good across all disciplines. So Asad and Vicky. But what was really interesting was a lot of the stuff they were saying about vision, culture, teamwork. Paul Barber came right at the end. And Brighton CEO, he sort of like been voted Premier League CEO like loads of times. You know, Brighton Football Club is an amazing success story on and off the pitch. And he hadn't heard anything they were talking about because he just comes in, sort of gets on the stage, and then he's gone again. Like he's like sort of Kaiser Soze in that respect. He just vanishes. But really nice guy, and he was on about the vision was the most important thing to begin with Brighton. Then it was about building the team around a set of values they all believe in. I know some people, I was particularly bad for this. I used to dismiss values. It's a bit wishy-washy. It's for corporates. But now, honestly, I'm so bought into values and how it's like I bet you there's some clients you get on really, really well with. And then if you were to break it down, well, why do I get on so well with them? Why do we have such a good working relationship? It's probably because you share the same values.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It is normally that, because if their values are different, if they want to squeeze every single penny out of you as hard as they can and be sort of like skinflint, and your value is I want people to value what I do, there's always going to be a clash there. So that's one example. But it was just so interesting how he came along at the end, Paul Barber, and kind of encapsulated in his talk everything the other guys were sort of speaking so eloquently about and that sort of thing. So it went really, really well. We're going to do another one up in the north. So basically, that's Watford from where I am in Brighton. Everywhere is in the north of England to me, like literally everywhere.
You might need three. Then it'd be the north, and then it would be the extreme north.
Yeah. Which I believe is called Scotland. But no, it went well, mate. What about you? What have you been up to this past couple of weeks?
Yeah, no, it's been really good. We had a couple of webinars. I was just telling you that I've done with a couple of companies, Valpal, Data Loft, a couple of other companies, and it's just been great. Talking to so many agents and actually people listening, to what you've got to say, and there's a definite desire there to improve. So it's so good to see. So yeah, we really enjoyed it, and hopefully can do a few more.
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know about you, but I'm hearing from most agents that this January, February wasn't nowhere near as bad as they feared.
No, I think you're right. I think it definitely took a bit. It was a little bit slower to get going, but I've looked at a few with our family business and talking to a few other agents. I think now they're seeing quite a lot of valuations taking place, which is always a good sign normally, because obviously you need valuations to turn into instructions and instructions to buyers. So I don't think it has been as bad, and I think a month or two down the line, I think it won't look as bad perhaps as people thought it was going to be.
Because the days are getting longer, which is always good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are you one of these people? I'm a bit like, that first bit where it's dark at 4:30.
Oh,
It takes
I
away a bit of my soul.
Yeah, it does, because your day just changes, and I can see why, agents' results improve as soon as spring comes, because everyone's got more time to do stuff, and want to do stuff at the end of the day. So, yeah, that extra light hours, sun, yeah, makes a big difference. Big difference for me.
So, is there anything in particular you were mentioning something off there about going vertical, which is always good to start the day in a vertical.
Well, yeah, that's a good way to start, isn't it? If you're the other way and you don't change, then it could be a worry, couldn't it?
Head
Uh,
count.
so yeah, I was talking to a lot of people recently, and I think there's still a lot of people out there unsure what the big shift is. And the big shift at the moment is, and it probably has been over since the last 12 months, is that big shift to vertical content, vertical video, mobile content. So we've all been used to creating, content the other way, but vertical content now. So recording it like as you would on your mobile phones, standing upwards, is a big shift now. And the reason for this is because over the last 12 months or 2 years, the platforms like YouTube, even YouTube, so YouTube Shorts, Reels on Instagram, TikTok, and mainly TikTok sort of introduced this type of content. The demand now by users on any sort of platform, social media platform, is vertical video, and it's not even just vertical video. It's snackable, entertaining, or educating, or video that provides value, is what people are looking for, and that unpolished type of video content as well. Before we used to polish everything, didn't we? And a lot of agents still do that, but I think when TikTok came around, there was this brand new platform where you had this unpolished content, and people saw more of the real stuff, rather than this sort of polished content. And Instagram was very guilty of this. There was a lot of influencers on Instagram a couple of years ago where they had all the expensive cars and looked fantastic. You used to say, "Oh, someone on Instagram always looked fantastic," but now we're putting away from that, and it really is that content the phone's just been picked up and recorded, and that's only a benefit for agents, because they don't have to worry about how they look and get everything polished afterwards.
It's really interesting you say that, because last week I had a chat with Megan 18, Megan from Haslam's, and she was telling me she's had a lot of really good success with TikTok, and she was sort of echoing what you were saying there, about keep it real, basically. Keep it real. To camera, people want authenticity. It's mad, isn't it? I think we went through that horrible phase with Instagram, and social media is probably still guilty of it, where we get the highlight reel of their lives.
Yeah.
But now I think people just realise, just give it to me as it is. Just be yourself. Don't put bloody filters on it and all that nonsense. Just deliver it to me as it is. But she's had some really good, because she deals with letting. She's had some great response. Because got to be honest, I did sort of dismiss TikTokers. Well, how's that going to sell or rent houses? I don't know many landlords or serious buyers or sellers on TikTok. But turns out, like, she's done well out of it. So
it's moving so quickly. Instagram and Instagram Reels was an example. 12 months before, they were saying, "Oh, it's the wrong age for sellers, buyers, and people that are on there." And then 2 years later, bang, it's caught up. It's 30-year-olds on there, using it a lot, and now a lot older. So TikTok will be the same. It's moving so quickly. Each month they bring out new data that shows that the age is moving up all the time. The average age of users, and it used to be, oh, well, the kids will recommend. When mum or dad look to sell, they're going to recommend. Well, it's not that now. Mum and dad are on TikTok.
Good dances, probably. Like you dance with some old granny doing a mad dance.
That's it. And
in the background doing it, looking for tomatoes and cucumbers in the shops.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time, though, agents do worry that it's silly dancing, and that's it. It's not. As long as it educates, it entertains, and entertains could be a property tour. That's entertainment in the UK, because so many people watch property shows. So as long as you do that type of video that suits TikTok, then people will watch that. And for brand awareness. Fantastic.
And like you said there, you've got the entertaining side of it, and you've got the education. Education can be just as simple as writing down 10 questions you get asked on a weekly basis and doing 1-minute videos on each of the 10. How do I find the best conveyancing solicitor? How do I prepare for a viewing? What should I say if I'm alone with a potential buyer on a viewing and they've got a sort of scary mask on? But no, yeah, it's interesting. So that's interesting about the vertical content. Any sort of thoughts, new thoughts about AI like to come out? Because it seems we've got a bit chat GPT. Oh yeah, it's brilliant. Well, actually, it's not as brilliant as we thought it was.
I think it is good. I think it's still at that stage where people are getting used to understanding how to use it, even just the platform or other platforms, how to use them, and then how to use it correctly. And we're using it, but mainly we're using it to improve stuff or give us further ideas. That's the main thing. There's a lot more advanced stuff you can do, and that will come out, and it'll be a lot easier to do later on. But I think you've got a few really interesting points. I mean, you were mentioning just before we came on.
Yeah, so we spent probably when ChatGPT first came out, obviously because there's content connotations to it about content creation, and I won't overly worry because we have an area of exclusive model. So our clients pay for that area exclusivity. But looking at it, I thought, well, this is actually good. And I was playing around asking it to do a few things and got a couple of my team to do the same thing. So ask it questions and all that sort of stuff. And one of my team said, yeah, it's good, but it's like average. It's like the average journalist copywriter would produce. It would be somebody you go, all right. You know, like, it's almost like somebody just a bit better than, actually, this might be a little bit harsh. With 1 to 2 years experience, copywriting could come up with the stuff it's doing. So it's kind of average. But I do think it will kill off anything that is average. So if you're an average copywriter, or if you're an average marketeer, or if you're an average code, web code, because you can do that as well. If you're average at what you do, the computers will probably come and replace you.
Yeah.
I can see that happening, and I've read a few articles sort of predicting the same thing. So I think even with estate agents, because you could tap into Chat GPT, any question you'd ask an estate agent, any question, and it would give you a half decent answer. An average answer, average agent type answer. You wouldn't get the exceptional answers from a really good estate agent who's got 10, 20, 30 years plus experience. So I do think, I think it could be really good in some ways, a bit like how online agents improve traditional agents.
Really good point.
Do you know what I mean? So I think it can be used as a, hold on, the bar's getting raised, and if we don't move with the bar, we're going to be average, and it's just we're going to sink below the bar like a drunk at a party.
No, I think that's a really good way to compare it. You know, I think you will see the bar raised with what agents are providing. The one thing, you know, obviously there's a few little things, isn't there, that it will never be able to compete with, and personality is one of them, and also people actually listening to what's important, you know, and then providing, you know, the advice or the information. And I think that's the biggest thing, isn't it? Human will always have that, where we can listen and then have the right to reply with the right information, where anything like AI is always going to struggle with that. And at the moment, AI, as far as I'm aware, is still basing its information on past data as well.
Well, it's that question, who won the World Cup? Has Lionel Messi won a World Cup? And it says no, because its data scrape is 2021. But that it'll catch up, and I just think it's one of those. It's here. It's going to get better. Are you?
Yeah.
That's. Do you know what I mean? That's the question I posed about it. What can we do that AI can't? And we've kind of worked out what we can do that AI can't. And I think estate agents need to work out how to use it, but how to make themselves more important than in the eyes of their clients. Because otherwise, people just resorting to Google and AI just for every sort of question, you know, where obviously agents want them to have a chat. So I think it's interesting. And I sort of touched on something there that I know we're going to speak about as well. Obviously, we've had purple bricks in the news.
Yeah, lots going on there. I'm sort of losing. There's so much going on. I'm losing track with it. But there lots of interesting things. I saw something else in, I think it was Canada or somewhere, that they've stopped taking instructions as well. You know, I think that was interesting, because obviously they've got purple bricks around the world, and they've obviously got different names, some of them as well. But yeah, it was interesting. So you've got a few things that you mentioned to me on this, haven't you?
Yeah, I thought, and I remember when Purple Bricks first came out, I can remember being asked by one of our clients back then when we were doing more bespoke work, don't mention Purple Bricks. Whatever you do, don't mention online agents, but especially not Purple Bricks. I was like, well, why? He went, well, I don't want people to know about them. I went, well, they're going to find out because they've got a multi-million-pound advertising. They're advertising everywhere. They're going to find out. And my advice to him was, meet it head on. You know, like, it's a bit like a threat with AI to certain businesses, including estate agents. Don't meet it head on. Don't sort of wait in the corner for it to sort of come and get you. Just step towards it. And sort of say, right, this is why we believe the traditional model is better than online straight Purple Bricks models. But I think one thing, looking back at what Purple Bricks did really well, and it was always something I admired, was they nailed their core message. They nailed it so well. You know, that commissary campaign, remember, it had agents really angry.
Yeah, but you're right.
Quite understandably, I felt they were angry about that. But, you know, it's part of the game in many ways. They just thought, right, where's their weak spot? And commissary is a great phrase, isn't it? What a great play on words, you know. Even though we know a lot of it was a bit, well, what do you get for your Purple Bricks money? It turns out not that much now. But commissary, they nailed a different tone of voice. So they just sounded different from estate agents. And what I can't believe is some estate agents still sound like the way they did 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. It's madness. They're the ones that the likes of AI will take over.
Yeah.
They're the ones because they're average. But so, yeah, what's happening with Purple Bricks? I mean, I don't know the business. I can't see how it can survive as a business, though, to be fair. I don't know.
No,
maybe I could be missing something. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I thought the same. And I think maybe they're just changing things to have something that they can actually sell. You know, it's
well, who's going to buy that?
Well, so much money's been pumped into it, hasn't it? I think it's something that they want to keep alive in some way or form. But it's interesting, isn't it? Like you say, where do they go now with their messaging as well? Because they have had that such concrete message about how they are different, but that's changing all the time, isn't it? Now, where will that go? But there will always be a Purple Bricks, won't there? You know, there's no doubt. And with AI, maybe there'll be other offerings. You know, and this is why I think it's so important that agents do raise the bar, because just because Purple Bricks, if they do disappear, someone else will come along and they will be Purple Bricks, but perhaps something else on offer as well. So,
you know, you just made me think of something that I thought was really, really interesting. What Asad Riaz said at the event, right? Because he got asked. One of the questions was about what percentage do you spend on your marketing. And he went, with all due respect, he went, I think that's the wrong question. What does he mean by this? He said, before you spend money on your marketing, you should make sure you've got the sales systems in place and the team in place, you know, like the customer service in place. Because otherwise, you could have all these leads from this marketing that's been generated, but you don't know how to handle them. So it's really wasted money. But even worse than wasted money, it's bad for your reputation. Do you see? And for me, his logic was perfect. I've never thought of it like that. I've always thought, because of being a marketeer, sort of thing, marketing background, get the leads in, get the leads in, get the leads in. I never thought about what happens underneath. How are you going to handle these leads? Do you know what I mean? It's better to handle 2 leads well, really, really well, than have 10 leads that you kind of do an all right job on.
Yeah.
Job on. So I don't know why that made me.
It's a good point, and I think in our industry as well, I think you're right. If that journey or whoever deals with those leads, if they don't have the right journey, then that can have a bigger impact bigger negative impact on your company than a positive one.
So that was that really, because normally we have sort of 10 minutes with a Geordie fella. He secretly went down to London on Sunday to watch I really wanted Newcastle to win, by the way. Did you on Sunday?
Did he go to the game? Do you know?
No, I think he's Sunderland, didn't he?
Oh, is he Sunderland? I don't know.
Oh yeah, rugby. Yeah, rugby is Sunderland. Yeah.
I thought it was, well, at the moment, was it 13 games for us?
Everyone's probably Arsenal. Yeah.
13 games.
And do you know what? Again, vision, consistency, and building the team spirit is what Arteta's done there. He
No.
had a vision of what he wanted Arsenal to be again. Do you know what I mean? And he talks about that. And have you watched the documentary, the Arsenal? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's a very impressive man.
Yeah, I think very, very clever man. Yeah, very, very clever
and
man.
Wonderful hair. Wonderful hair. Have you ever noticed his hair is so thick and so strong looking? So it's a bit like yours. You're the Arteta of the estate agency world.
It's where it all starts. You start with the hair.
Start with the hair and work back.
You went back, yeah. No, I agree totally. You, like you say, he went in there, and before he even started looking at players and everything, he was sorting out stuff behind the scenes, and like you say, their values, their vision, and I even went down to. I'm not saying this is connected in any way with the property industry, but he's even got a space for the Premier League trophy to go, and he put it in the training centre, so when they walk past, they can see all the things that they've got, and that's empty. Yeah. And every time it's saying it's empty, we'll feel that. So yeah.
But that's such a good visual cue to make you think of the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
You could do that in an estate agency or any business, couldn't you? You know, like you could have on the wall, if your goal was Google reviews, 150 or whatever it was, Google reviews by the date.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Or a clever way like he's done it there. I'm a big believer in that. And whenever I go to anywhere that's like these sporting academies and that, because we get to go to some of them through Charlotte's Football, they're always big on signs around the wall and visual reminders, and especially into the history of the club and where it's going and this sort of thing. So it's fascinating stuff. Fascinating.
Is that they have things like that at Brighton? Because I know obviously you were there the other day.
Yeah. Brighton's full of it. The Brighton Academy, the training academy, Charlotte goes there on a Wednesday. That's got lots of stuff around the walls and that sort of stuff. You know you're in a place that's aiming for greatness. Well, yeah, they want to be qualified for Europe, so they have a clear goal. Their goal is Europe. I mean, in an estate agency, it could be a certain turnover. It could be linked to Google reviews. I know somebody that we're working with has said one of their goals, main goals, is a certain amount of 5-star Google reviews this year, because they know that if they do that, they must have done X amount of transactions. And if they've done X amount of transactions, they'd have hit the financial figure that they wanted. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting.
Last of all, just a quick question I think some agents might be interested in. What sort of content and messages are you thinking is what people should be pushing out right now as we go into this different period?
Yeah, so obviously you've got selling in spring. People are feeling different, so get the selling in spring, the old classic messages out there. We've done a fair bit of work around what to do in a buyer's market, because it changed a seller's market to a buyer's market. So a lot of our content's been around that. With landlords, we've been looking with the rental, the letting stuff. It's really about what problems letting agents solve for landlords.
Yeah.
You know, that's been a big thing that we've noticed, and we've just put our April news list together because we work a month ahead. And I know that that's a theme of what problems can letting agents solve for landlords, how they can do it, why it pays to use it. You know, like it's the old right. Oh, anyone can rent their property. You know, anyone can look after it, but it's a headache. I've done it in the past. It's just a headache, man.
Yeah.
You know,
and also it's showing your worth and value, isn't it?
And I think not being afraid to show it as well.
Yeah, I agree. Some agents put great content out, and a lot of them put their reviews out as well. But one of the things I'm always saying is, don't just put your review out. You know, put a case study behind it. Give a bit of a story behind it. Show why you're actually worth more than the other agent, and that will allow people to relate to that as well, so they can think, actually, that's my situation. So I think the problem one's a good one that you said there, because if there's a landlord and you're talking about a problem and how you help that problem, and they think, well, that's me every month, I'm having that problem, they can relate to it, can't they?
Well, it's a nice, and if you wanted to do a video on that, you could just think, right, who have we like? One of the things that Spencer Lawrence's company have is a success channel in Slack. So you know Slack, the messaging, and it's just for success. It's just for this one channel is just about success. So there's general chit chat channels and what have you, but this one channel is whatever we do well, put it in there, and they put it in there. And he was saying, like, the things, the problems they solve, how they can, one of the stories he was telling me that I thought was really interesting was a landlord said, I'm going to have to sell because I want to afford this next house. They were moving overseas. And normally, you know, like a lot of agents go, but that's all right, we'll take the sell instruction and we'll make our money off that. And that's it. It happens, sort of thing. But his team took the time to sit down and sort of say, well, let's have a, if you want, we can have a chat with your finances. We can see what options are available to you, because there might be more options than you think. And it turns out that this guy could keep his house over here and buy his house overseas, you know. So he's got the best of both worlds. He's still got the asset in London, which is only going to go really one way. Do you know what I mean? Because he bought it years and years ago, and he's got his house. So, you know, it's that sort of thing where how can you add real value? And I know if I was a landlord and somebody did that for me, they've got my loyalty, unless they do something horrendous, for God knows, forever, probably. You know, as long as they keep giving a good service. So, but it's like I said, it's all about, and I think this is going to be a key theme this year, is what's the narrative, what's the story around your agency? You know,
that's a good point.
Do you know what I mean? It could be, you know, we get the most, we achieve the asking price 99% of the time. Okay, how do you do that? If that's your story about being so successful. One of the themes that came out from the event at the weekend as well, last week as well, was Rianne from Paramount Property said it to me a while back. She said, we do a lot of community work because we love it, and it changes the narrative around our agency. So we're not just going and saying, oh, we're letting agents. We're letting agents that support the community in numerous ways and do this. It's changed the narrative straight away. It's added another chapter to the story. So yeah, I think that's a really key. I'm on form today, Paul.
You're on fire, absolutely on fire.
You know why? You know what? I had a little nap around 12:30, a little nippy nappy noo in my little blanket, little power nap, and then I had a cold shower because I thought I'm sluggish as anything. So I had a little cold shower. So props to Wim Hof, my man Wim Hof.
There you go. You got to get the cold bath, haven't you? That's the
I see a few of them. Rob Brady, Chris Ellis, all those boys jumping into cold baths.
Hashtag cold bath. It's everywhere.
Yeah. I might give it a go actually, because they're not that expensive either, are they?
Well, I'll watch you first and see how you get on.
But no, it's all good. It's all good, mate.
Okay, I think we're all covered. Hope everyone's got some tips and advice out of that, and hope everyone's well. And we'll catch up again very soon. Thanks, Jerry.
Cheers, Paul. Stay around, Paul. I just want to catch you off air.
Yeah, no problem.